This is Julie Drake with the Shine with Julie show, and I am the person that helps you gain clarity and joy by removing those emotional baggage things that tag along with you and keep you stuck. And today I have with me Dan Peterson. Dan is a longtime entrepreneur just like me, but he's also a special family member, a cousin by marriage. So, a little bit about Dan is he is a social media marketing and sales training expert for over 20 years. He founded Flip Switch Consulting, which is recognized a national award winning company that helps other people, small to mid-sized businesses, grow and get their voice out on social media, which is so needed right now, Dan. I'm so excited to have you here. So I'll let him explain to you. He's a dad. He has chaos around him all the time. I can't wait to hear him share how he manages that. But tell our audience a little bit more about you.
Well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to talk non-family stuff and talk a little more business, and it'll be a good
Yep.
conversation, I'm sure. So, like you said, I do have three girls, and they are 11, 9, and 2, and we have a little dog as well who is I don't know what she is in dog years, but she's old. She's like 16.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started Flip Switch 9 years ago this year, as of 2021. We started as a solution for small business owners that didn't have the capabilities to do marketing in-house, but didn't have the big budgets to hire big firms. And we found a niche with web design initially, and then turned it into social media about 7 years ago. And that's what we've done ever since. So it's going well. And as you just mentioned, we have clients nationally, and we're growing all the time. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Now, I've known you for a long time, most of your life, actually.
Right.
But one of the things that I've loved about watching your journey, and is something that I think is really relevant today, is you didn't start with Flip Switch Consulting, but I think that I can safely say that you had a drive to be an entrepreneur very early on.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about that journey. Where did that come from, and what did that evolve over the years?
So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. Every family member, for the most part, aunts, uncles, cousins, I'd say 90% of them are entrepreneurs of some sort. And growing up, I grew up in a small town with Ben Franklin's store as my backbone of entrepreneurial impetus. So I lived in that store. And for those of you who might be too young to know what a Ben Franklin store is, it was the precursor to Walmart of sorts, and it was a variety store. So you could get anything you wanted there. And I lived in that store, and that, of course, had a big impact on my younger years of seeing and just being involved in business. And whether it was, helping customers when I was a little tot running around the store asking, "Can I help you?" Or whatever, all the way up until the family got out of the business. And then at the same time, they owned a Kim Dry carpet cleaning franchise, and there were other business ventures involved with other family members and stuff. So I've always been surrounded by that. And then when I quit college early because I was managing a pizza place, I decided that I wouldn't go back, and I just continued to work my way up. And so I've pretty much managed, with the exception of maybe 2 jobs, I've pretty much managed every position I've been at until starting my own company with a different partner a few years, well, not a few years ago now, but 13, maybe 14 years ago. And then that evolved slowly into Flip Switch, which now has been 9 years. So it's been something consistently all the time for the last 20 years, basically.
And you did not finish your college degree.
I did not. I have like 136 credit hours. Right. Yeah. Yes. I'm not a big proponent of college, and it's not because I didn't finish.
Personal choice, right?
Yeah, it's a personal choice. I think it's a great thing for people that are in a certain industry that need to go a certain direction, and they need that piece of paper to take them to the next level. But for many people, I love the way Elon Musk says it. Everything can be learned online now. So you can learn anything you want. College is a place for you to have fun and grow up and try to become an adult with somebody looking over you and grading you for it. So,
Paying
yeah, not a
$100,000 to do it.
right, exactly, exactly. So, not a big proponent, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
It is totally. But I want to encourage the parents out there, because I know I just had this conversation with somebody recently who was a college graduate. Their son is not interested in that path, is already making thousands of dollars online right now as a senior in high school. And I just encourage that dad to give that kid some space, because if he can do that as a 17/18-year-old online, no matter what he chooses to do, he has that in him to go and make a living. He won't be living in his basement. It's like,
That's
it's
exactly
okay.
right. Yeah.
So now you've said you're a dad, you got a dog, you work out of your home. Talk to us
I do.
about how you fit all that into your life. What does that look like on a daily, weekly basis?
Well, I got rid of the two offices that I had, one before the pandemic and another one during the pandemic, because it just didn't make any sense. And I was never there. I mean,
Yeah,
literally probably went to the one office 3 times ever. Like it was just stupid to even have one.
yeah.
So I do work out of the house, and I balance it with, well, got to be careful what I say here. I try to communicate correctly to my wife to let her know when I'm going to be doing things such as this, or if I have meetings or phone calls that I can't have somebody screaming in the background about their lunch being wrong or something. But overall, it goes pretty well. I try to get out. We have national clients, but I try to get out and meet with people on their terms as much as I can. So I really don't do a lot of business meetings and stuff in the home office, and I don't have as many conversations here as a lot of people probably think. I really try to distance myself and separate the two and go out and meet people in person, because I still believe in that. And Zoom calls are great and all that stuff, but it's nice to get out and meet with people. So I Zoom the people in California and Colorado and everywhere else, but I meet the people in Chicagoland as often as I can in person. And that really helps keep that balance, because then I'm not here, working 18 hours a day
Right.
out of the house. I'm in chamber meetings, or I'm always doing something. So
Right. But I
it
also
works.
see, if anybody follows you on social media, Dan, they'll see that you also pay attention to your family. You posted not too long ago, a daddy-daughter date at Six Flags kind of thing. So,
Right.
I think that that's something that, your wife might not always agree with that you keep a good balance. But, that's something that as an entrepreneur, especially in the business that you're in, that you can have some of those freedoms and flexibilities that, other people don't have. How has COVID affected your business?
So when it first happened, I thought, oh, this is it. I'm done. My initial thought, I think everybody kind of goes there.
Yeah,
You go to a dark place. I don't care how positive of a person you try to be.
right.
I think that there was a lot of fear with everybody. But then every year, so two points to this. So when it first happened, I decided I either had to pivot and find a way to build the business, or at least maintain where we were at, or just fold the cards and figure something else out, which was never in my brain really. It was just
Right.
on paper, it was an option, right? So I created a campaign for our company called Pivot Don't Panic, which was
Mm-hmm.
hashtag Pivot Don't Panic. It actually took off, had some national exposure here and there, and it was kind of cool, and it got a lot of traction. But more importantly, it became a driving force for our own company, of going from the mindset of just maintaining and turning that into a pivot point where we could actually go after new areas of opportunity. So, for example, we ended up bringing on a lot of sanitizing companies. So,
Yeah,
perfect time, right? Because they're out
right.
spraying and sanitizing and disinfecting.
Absolutely.
So, they needed help marketing and growing. And so, we came on board. We got one, and then we got two, then we got four, and so on. And that was a big area of opportunity for us. And then I think because it brought everybody back to a centrist type of viewpoint, where people were, I think, they felt like they were more attached to each other because of the human element. Like, we're all going through this pandemic, we're all living here dealing with this. I think it opened up some doors on more of the human side, where people looked out for each other and kind of I don't want to say felt sorry for anybody, but when you're trying to make business calls and you're trying to talk to people about growing their business, I think that when you're genuine about it, like we are, it played well with the audience that we were trying to reach. And people thought, you know what, this company really is trying to help us through this. They're not just here to make a buck.
Right.
And so we paired that up then with freebies. So we did a lot of pro bono social media work for a lot of companies, and we put a lot of messaging out there saying, hey, if you know a company that needs marketing and is really struggling right now, like maybe even getting ready to go out of business, send them our way and we'll work with them for free until they get back on their feet.
That's
And just
awesome.
having, well, and it was an easy bridge
Yeah.
because I built the company for that in the first place. It was never designed to be a company where I take huge invoice amounts from 5 businesses. It was more about charging people a lot less than everybody else, but doing it in volume and making
Right.
our money in volume.
Yeah.
And it worked. We were told it would never work many times by lots of people, but when you get a system in place and you do it right, it can work, and
Right.
that's what we did. So, but
Exactly.
but the pandemic, to go back to your initial question, I think it was more of a eye opener as well for a lot of people that digital is the way of the future, and it's the way of the present and the way of the future. And a lot of people that had their head in the sand for so many years and didn't really take their business to that level where they should. They were still more the brick and mortar mindset. Now they realize, like, I got to get my butt in gear and start getting digital with it. And that's what I think really helped us as well. So
Yeah, I agree. That one event changed so many industries
for sure.
for that exact reason. I had a coach that I worked with, and every now and then I couldn't meet with her in person. So I'm like, "Can we get on a Zoom?" She's like, "I don't do Zoom." And now,
Right.
it's like I'm thankful for that little bit because then it gave her a taste of it going into this because that's the only way she could do business for a
Right.
year. So, um, so you've been around a lot. You've pivoted several times and you've come up and you've pivoted again and you've come up. So what would you say to that person that's watching and maybe thinking, they have an idea, they have something that they've wanted to do for a while, but they're scared, they doubt, they whatever. What would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, people a lot of times don't chase that dream or don't try to take that side hustle to the next level or even start that side hustle or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
um, which could be their passion, probably is their passion, right?
Right.
They don't do it because they feel they either can't stop what they're doing now because maybe they're the breadwinner, maybe they're maybe it's 50-50 husband and wife and they're both contributing equally and one doesn't want to drop off and try something, for fear of failure.
Right.
But what I would tell them in that case is there's more hours in the day. And a lot of people try to still keep the same 8 or 10 hours in the middle of the day and think, well, I work my 9 to 5 and I have kids and I have this and that. When can I possibly pursue anything else? And there's just so much more time in the day.
Yeah.
And, sleep for 6 hours and work the other 18. And if it's putting the kids to bed at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night and then working till 2 in the morning and sleeping till 7 or 8 and getting up and doing it again, so be it. You got to do what you got to do. And I've fallen into these ruts many times. I am not a morning person. Anybody that knows me knows that like 5 a.m. There's a 5 a.m. I thought there was only a 5 p.m. So I do not get up early, and but I need to, and I it's an area that I really try to work on because I could be maximizing so much more opportunity if I did. But I also think that there's you have to make sure you don't make yourself miserable in anything you do. And if getting up super early over time ends up making me resent a portion of my day or whatever, I think that's what keeps me from doing that. I could be
Right.
wrong, could be right, I don't know, but either way, I could still get up earlier.
Yeah.
Make no mistake. But to go back to your question, I think that people really, in this day and age, with everything being digital and with all the capabilities there are out there, to take another 2, 3, 4 hours a day and put it into your passion while you're still working your main job. And then someday, once you've built that up and you feel like it's time to make the switch, do it, and for people that are 30, 40, 50 years old or older and feel like it's too late, I mean, we don't live till we're 60 or 70 anymore. People are living till they're 80, 90, 100, and it's only going to get more and more over the years. And as people continue to increase their lifespan, 40, my age, 42, 42 is the new 28. And there you go.
Love it. Yes.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of that mindset. It's the same type of mindset that said, you go to school, you get your high school degree, you go to college, you get a degree, you go work until you're 65, you retire, and that's your life. And that same thing has been drilled into us for decades and decades, and it's just so far off course now. Right. And you get one life to live. Go find your passion, find what you want to do, and do it. Because the biggest fear I have at the end of life is I just lost the word. Is regret. Thank you. Yes, is regret. And I don't want to look back and say, man, I had all those mornings I could have woken up an hour earlier, or I had all those days that I could have, done more with the kids or done more with my job or whatever the case is. So that's what I pretty much have been trying to preach to everybody on the personal side of things. I do some of that through like the Dan Peterson official personal brand, which is another thing I need to work harder at. But yeah, there's so much stuff that could be done. There's plenty of time to do it. Well,
and you don't have to work 18 hours a day forever. It's a season, right? It's that building season. Right. So I think sometimes people are fearful of, it's going to take so much, it's going to take so long. But, you're living proof that, there are seasons where your kids may not see you as often, but that might happen for a couple weeks or months, and then that balance changes, and then they have you again. So exactly. I want to make sure that people can find you. And as I'm putting this up here, I'd love you to share something non-business related that is like your biggest accomplishment. What would you say?
Oh my gosh. Well, I tell you what, I could say this. So as you know, I'm a musician, and I've been playing and performing for 20 years, something like that, live. And I still do it, and I host open mic nights and things like that, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And I think that I'll just take this because there's a million things I could probably talk about, but it's hard to do it on the fly. So I think that there's a certain level of accomplishment with helping a lot of local, and I say local meaning Chicagoland, suburban musicians, be able to go out and play and be able to express themselves musically and have that opportunity to get on a stage and do that. And there's so many. We were just talking about this last week at the open mic. There's this guy, Michael, if you watch this or you see this, you'll know I'm talking about you. He went from barely having the ability to stand on stage and talk through a microphone because of the nervousness and whatnot, and not a great guitar player by any means. And then going over the 3 years now, I think roughly that I've known him, now he's up playing with other people. He's belting out music through the microphone to the point now I have to turn him down. I used to not be able to turn him up loud enough. True story. I couldn't get enough volume out of it without feeding back. Now I have to turn him down. The guitar works is 100 times better. And it's just so fun. And there's been many of those people over the years. So I think that something I'm proud of as an accomplishment just in my second life, where I wear my music hat, is to be able to bring people that joy of being able to go out and play music, because maybe they're not good enough to go play a gig, or maybe they don't even want to go play a gig, but they want to play their 3 or 4 songs a week and hang out with some other musicians and do that. And so hosting all these open mics for I've done it now for a decade, is just a really cool experience. And it's something really fun to get to be a part of. And I took a year off, obviously, because of the pandemic, but now we're back doing it. And it's fun, and it gives me a break. It makes me, it clears my head. It gives me something completely not business related, where I can unplug for 3 hours from flip switch and go plug in literally a guitar and do that. And I play gigs on weekends sometimes. I probably 2 a month. I play a show on a Friday or Saturday. I've got one coming up this Saturday as of this recording. And it's something that I think that everybody should do. They always talk about finding your passion, and that is a passion of mine, but I don't think that it's the kind that I would ever try to monetize more than what I've done.
Right.
Playing gigs and side money and all that, that's fine. I could probably make a living doing it, to be honest. But it's a lot of work and it's a lot of late nights, and it's not what I want to do at this time of my life. It's not sustainable either, long term. So,
Right.
but it's fun, and it gives me an outlet and allows me to bring other people the ability to play that might not ever get a chance to stand on a stage and do that. So,
I forgot that you did open mics. I've seen you perform, but I didn't realize, and that's so important to really have that thing that you can call your own, where you're pulling people along with you, lifting them up,
right.
because it totally changes the energy of the world, I think, if you go help somebody else, and that's a great way to do it.
It
So I
does.
have your website here, but tell our audience other ways that they can find you, other small businesses, or like you said, struggling businesses that really want to get their message out, or that person that's just going to start something new, because it's not like before. You don't need a billboard, you don't need a big ad budget,
Right.
you just need a great social media presence, and that's what you help people with. So I want to make sure they know how to find you.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, Flip Switch Social Media is the brand. Flip Switch Consulting is still the website, but that's going to be changing sometime soon.
Okay.
Either way, it'll still point to the new one. So even if somebody
Yep.
goes to that, they'll always get to where they're supposed to be. But you can look up Flip Switch Social Media anywhere, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And that's what we do. And like you said, our goal is to help small to mid-sized companies grow using the power of social media, which whether they've got the time but they don't have the knowledge, or they've got the knowledge and don't have the time, and in most cases neither, or both, I guess you would say, that's what we do. So all the posting, the monitoring, the ads, we take it completely 100% off their plate, or as much off their plate as they want us to take it, and that's what we do.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with me today, Dan. And everybody out there, remember that if you don't believe you're a special gem, I do. And it's time for you to go shine in whatever your passion is, like Dan says. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.
Love it. Thank you.